What is up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and today we have a review of Dead World Reclamation and Aura of Iniquity. And hey, if you like to be kept up to date with the best and brightest metal bands and albums from the underground and above, then stick with me by hitting that subscribe button down below. Dead World Reclamation is a Tempe, Arizona-based technical melodic death metal band very much in the vein of the Black Dahlia murder and Inferi. Aura of Iniquity is their sophomore effort following Sentient all the way back in 2017. Simpler times. This new album is described by the band as a series of short stories about dark bargains, giant spiders, and necromancy.
Necromancy may be legal in Cyrodiil, but few will openly admit to practicing it now that the Mages Guild has banned it.
And as someone who has been obsessed with this sound since the first time I picked up Unhallowed from the Best Buy shelf so many years ago, I'm always down to hear the latest iterations. In terms of strengths, this thing kicks off on a very strong note with Ripped from the Grave. This opens right from the start with the first of many ripping, almost Children of Bodom-esque solos, and it really sets a mission statement kind of for the rest of the album in terms of endless hooks, layering of low death growls with the blackened shrieks. The vocals are definitely where you're going to hear a lot of the Black Dahlia murder comparisons, and yeah, just brutal, but also melodic and very fun, very entertaining. You get even more of this on Embrace the Hive. This one has some nice choral synths as well to heighten the atmosphere and a little piano break too. Honestly, I'd like to see even more of this from them in the future. I think they are at their best when they've got that symphonic backing element. This one also has some truly epic sweeps at the end. I cannot say enough about the soloing on this record is out of control. You guitar players out there are going to have a lot of fun with this one. A quick and easy pick for me is The Everlasting Hunt. If there was only one track I would recommend from this album, this would be it. This one has a really earworm melodic hook to it that definitely kind of sticks in your brain. And then pair that with this fantastically infectious vocal cadence that conjures that death metal claw. And again, we get some string and piano elements on here. So again, like all of the best things come together on this song. This is definitely Dead World Reclamation at their finest. And of course, surprise, surprise, another ripping solo. So yeah, like everything I love the most about this band is on display with this song at a perfect 10. So yeah, definitely check out The Everlasting Hunt, if nothing else. Heralds of the Formless One is another great track. This one's more of a chug frenzy, also gets some slower, more ominous sections. There's some decent dynamics on display in certain areas of this album. Great bass solo on this one, alongside some more light, subtle piano. Every instrument really gets an opportunity to be showcased here. I think another element that's definitely worth highlighting that I noticed more so in the second half of the album is their use of very metalcore riffs in certain areas. I think particularly the track Whispers of the Evergloom is a big showcase of this. Yeah, some of the guitars in these moments have this very like early All That Remains vibe, which like This Darkened Heart, fucking one of my favorite albums ever. So imagine that fused into an overall death metal aesthetic, and it works. Those Born of Suffering is kind of an interesting one towards the end as well, in that it's got some really unique vocals. In fact, I was looking around to see if there's like a cattle decapitation feature on here. I didn't see anything about that. Would have thought they'd put that front and center. But in any case, there are some vocal moments on this one that sound a lot like cattle decapitation. It's got that kind of gurgly, throaty, strained quality to it. Not quite as successful, I'd say, as cattle decapitation, because let's face it, they're amazing. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they implement this further in future releases. And then Plague Master is a very strong closer. Great moody intro on this one with the strings and the acoustic guitar. One of the most dynamic songs on the album. There's a great pace change in particular towards the middle. Really keeps the song moving along. And of course, not only a solo, but a great like harmonized solo, definitely worthy of Squizgar.
Because it damn cool and it sounds really good.
Now this is not a perfect album. On the negative side, it definitely starts to run together. It is a 49-minute album and a lot of the tracks are very similar. It kind of reminds me, it's like having a really good fast food burger. It's like, you know it's good, you're enjoying the taste of it while you're eating it, but at the end of the day, you could definitely go for something a little bit fancier. There are better burgers out there, right? It's missing that kind of signature spice, and it's kind of hard to put your finger on exactly what it is, but Summoning the Lich definitely had it. If you saw my review of that album, another band that sounds a lot like the Black Dahlia Murder, but there's just something about them that allows the album to stay consistently engaging all the way through. Every song has like a little bit of an extra dash of this, dash of that, so that they all have their own unique little personalities despite this through line of the overall sound. This album kind of lacks that. Everything starts to just get a little bit bland, even though it's impressive. Like, it's impressive to listen to, and so I'm definitely rooting for these guys. But as a result, it does end up being a little bit forgettable for all of its strengths. So with that in mind, turning to my scales, for enjoyability, I give it an 8. Again, very entertaining, fun to listen to, above average, but still kind of like missing that little X factor that allows it to make me want to like continue picking it up and playing it over and over again. Like, again, Summoning the Lich, I couldn't put that album down. This album, I enjoyed listening to it every time, but I didn't feel that same kind of drive to like, ooh, I want to listen to it right now, again, this moment. Now, musicianship, on the other hand, I will give it a 9. This is the album's biggest saving grace. No question of ability here. All of these guys are incredible musicians. I think it's just step up the songwriting a little bit, add a little bit more flair, something, a little bit more personality, I guess. That little je ne sais quoi, as they say.
The essence, the right stuff. What the French call a certain, I don't know what.
And then in terms of innovation, just a 7, kind of your average sort of technical melodic death metal flair, especially if you've been listening to stuff from the Artisan Era label. That's kind of what you're going to get here. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see them get signed on that roster, because they would fit in quite nicely. So an 8 overall and a B- for Dead World Reclamation and Aura of Iniquity. Y'all, thanks as always for watching, and let me know down in the comments, what did you think of this album? Also, what's your favorite The Black Dahlia Murder song? And also stick around, I got plenty of videos coming right after this one. If you enjoyed this music, you'd probably check out my review again of Summoning the Lich, and also I have a bands like the Black Dahlia Murder list that you should check out as well. And then more album reviews, tier lists, interviews with bands on the podcast. You name it, we've got it, so plenty of reasons to subscribe if you have not already. Also chat with us on Discord and support on Patreon. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.